Hello everyone, I'm Rick Bayshard, and thank you for visiting my channel. Today I want to talk about meaning. It's interesting in this world how, everything seems to have a different meaning. The reason we give things meaning in this world is generally based on our ego neediness. I mean, one of the reasons the world was made by the ego was to somehow fill that lack within us. There's a principle called the scarcity principle. So when we mistakenly believed we've left our source, then part of us, something's missing, something's scarce within us. Now, from the Course in Miracles perspective, what's really missing in us, or what we believe is missing in us, is love. So the world and everything in it is going to be in part a way of trying to fill that lack, feel that scarcity within us. So it's what the Course would refer as substitute for love. And so in this world, we constantly looking around us and giving meaning to things, and as a way to measure our safety, as a way to, not our physical safety, but our sense that, we have some level of worth, that people respect us, that love is in my world. And so, it's really about managing this world to try to fill that scarcity. All the while we're unaware that we are love, and so you see our underlying psychological motivations in this world, which is a lot of work. We're managing the whole thing, trying to again, feel safe, feel loved. And in the process of doing that, we're perpetually giving things meaning they don't have. And the example of someone is giving you a gift, again, and you don't know if they're just simply a loving, nice person necessarily, or they're trying to manipulate you and trying to look nice. And so we have to be very careful how we see things. The other thing that is an important principle in A Course in Miracles is called the hierarchy of illusions. And again, that's similar to what we're saying here, is that some things in this world that we give meaning to are more important or more serious than other things. So that, if you have a spouse or a lover, we call that, we often call that person special. We give that person more meaning. And the implication in that is that, well, this person's more special than this other person, which, is a mistake, because you're saying one person is more important than another because of they're your lover versus a person on the street you have no connection with. But the truth is that they're all children of God, and it's important for us to pay attention to the fact that, so we don't see differences, and that we don't see somebody as more valuable than another person, regardless of what the other person is doing or saying or looks like and so on. But all of this serves the ego's dynamic of keeping us stuck, because again, since we're unaware of this scarcity principle, we're trying to make the world a place where we're happy, we're at peace. And that's, the world will never do that, because again, your peace and your happiness comes from within. And trying to make the world, by giving it meaning to certain things, may give you a temporary ego high, because you might be successful. I won the ball game today, and I give that meaning that, well, I must be worthy. But that's only going to be temporary, because it'll be something else that I need to give meaning to give me my worth, or give me the love that I want. So the idea, again, behind meaning is something that we need to pay attention to, because if we don't, the world's going to be a little more problematic, because, it's the meaning we give to something that's often going to result in how we feel about it. And so if somebody leaves us in a relationship, the meaning we give that is, well, I'm losing love, I'm not worthy of being loved, and this is where the pain comes from, because we're unaware that we are loved. Now, it's also important on a practical level to not experience the sense of loss, the sense of disappointment. The Course isn't asking us not to be human again. We're going to have a psychological self. And when things like this happen, we're going to have feelings about it. But what we want to do is, again, try to pay attention that this is really part of the ego dynamic, and simply look at it. Have the feelings of disappointment, have the feelings of sadness, but at the same time, gently remind yourself, no, I'm okay. I'm sad, I'm disappointed, and this seems to mean that I'm not good enough, but that's not true. And so the whole concept again is to look at this world, whether we're talking about our interpersonal relationships or again the world at large, because the bottom line is, if we want to be consistent, and we do, with the metaphysics, the world ultimately has no meaning because there is no world. There is no us in particular. Now again, the Course is asking us to not deny the human experience, but just always remember to look at it with vision. As your eyes see horrible things in this world, people die, people manipulate, all the other reasons that they do that, to pay attention that the meaning we're giving that, is it a meaning derived from our ego identification? Or do we want to see frightened people? Do we want to see, see it differently? Remember, a wonderful line from the Course in Miracles is, seek not to change the world, but rather to change your mind about it. So what that really means is that, you're going to be fully human and have all these dynamics, and you'll be ill, and you'll have relationships, and you'll get fired, and maybe you'll win the lottery, and all these other things. But they're all kind of like data points from the ego's perspective that keep you kind of like always running around. Oh, I won the lottery, I'm rich now, I'm going to be happy, or this person loves me, or this person left me, or somebody has died. All of these, again, is a perpetual ego ploy to keep us stuck in this world whereby we never really sit still. I mean, I know it's difficult, because we're so embedded in the world and our bodies and our identification. This is who we are. It can be like difficult to try to, to look outside the box, and I honor that. But always, that's really necessary in our ladder back home to the mind level, where we recognize that we're one with our source and that we love. All that's really necessary is that we have a willingness to do that. And usually that willingness, again, only begins to stem from the fact that everything we've given a meaning to and tried to understand and tried to interpret doesn't work. So when it comes to our experience here in this world, I'm a big advocate of being fully human, and being disappointed and understanding, oh, gee, I wish it just had gone differently. But that's the nature of the world. The world is full of separateness and divisiveness and seeing differences and judgment, and it's an ego phenomenon. And so are we. It's really important to, even as we identify with the specifics of our body, of our gender, our nationality, none of that makes us who we are. But we give all that meaning because we think it's who we are. And again, like I said, with the cosmos analogy, you can't use the one thing in this world that doesn't know what we are, which is our bodies and our eyes, because remember, eyes don't see and ears don't hear. But again, what's really important is to have at least the willingness to say, well, perhaps I've been mistaken here. And that's all that's necessary. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to understand, the metaphysics or anything that I'm even saying. But you want to come to a place where, things you've given power to, based on an ego perspective, that you can take that back and say, no, I was mistaken. And that's where your power lies, in realizing that you are much more than this, and that you who made this have the ability to say, I'm going to see it differently, and begin to chip away at recognizing who I am. And as we do that, this world will have less power over us because we're taking our power back. And that is really healing. And that brings us to that place of being a little bit more peace with this world. And it's a perspective that, we want to have, because if we look at this honestly, even though the world has its carrots, ultimately it's not a nice place. We're all going to die, and it's a struggle to try to fill that scarcity within us. And if we only knew that we are whole and are inherently good and are complete, we could be in this world and be with it with a whole other teacher within us, whereby we're just flowing and loving, and yet having our feelings and allowing ourselves to cry, allowing ourselves to celebrate, all the while realizing all that we're doing here isn't necessarily what we think. And that's what we want to do. So again, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it or you find it interesting, please feel free to subscribe or hit a like. And if you have any questions, email me. And again, I thank you very much for visiting my channel today. And I wish you a loving and peaceful day. Thank you.